I would like to call the October 15th, 2025 meeting of the City of Avondale Planning Commission to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Pineda?
Present.
Commissioner Guzman?
Present.
Commissioner Grimm?
Present.
Commissioner Jewell?
Present.
Vice Chair McBurney?
Present.
Chair White?
Present.
Commissioner Benson has an excused absence for tonight.
Thank you. Staff, may I have the report? Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of the June 18th, 2025 meeting? And are there any corrections? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion to accept the minutes, please? Motion made and seconded. Made by Pineda, Commissioner Pineda, seconded by Guzman. Please vote. The vote is passed 6-0, unanimously. Thank you. Now we may proceed to the public hearing items. May I have the report for both 4A and 4B together, please?
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. I am Monica Smriti, Senior Planner. I am presenting the agenda items 4A and 4B, minor general plan amendment and rezone request for applications PL-25-0120 and PL-25-0121. The purpose of these items is to review the proposed minor general plan amendment and rezone for the Avondale Tech Center, conduct a public hearing, and forward a recommendation on each item to the City Council. The subject site is approximately 38 net acres, and it is located at the northwest corner of Corporate Drive and 117th Avenue, and it was annexed in July 1976. North of the subject property is a vacant county island zoned for commercial development. East and south of the subject property is bordered by multi-family developments, and the western edge of the subject property borders an industrial development named Fairway 10 and zoned Avondale 50 plan area development. Here are a couple of site photos. This photo shows the site looking north from 119th Avenue toward I-10 Freeway. The building on the left is Fairway 10, an industrial development. The area on the right is the proposed development site. This photo shows the site looking south from 117th Avenue. The building on the left is a multi-family development, and the area on the right is the proposed development site. So the first request is for a minor general plan amendment to amend the general plan land use designation of the subject property from mixed use to business park. And the second request is to rezone the subject property from City Center District, CCD, to Avondale Tech Center Planned Area Development, PAD, with underlying zoning of Commercial Park, CP. The site is only remaining parcel in the city with CCD zoning classification as of now. The proposed use deviations from commercial park zoning are generally consistent with the Commerce Park zoning district, with the following exceptions. Motion picture productions is changing from conditional use permit to permitted use. Retail sales that primarily support the businesses and employees of the Commerce Park and not the general population is changing from conditional use permit to permitted use. Warehousing is changing from accessory use to permitted use, and wholesaling is changing from not permitted to permitted use. There isn't any other change in the development standard except for a proposal to increase the maximum building height from 35 feet to 55 feet. Here is the map of the site plan. The proposal is for an advanced technology campus to support light industrial, warehousing, and office uses. There are 3 buildings on the site, each with an area of over 200,000 square feet with 720 parking spaces in total. A detailed review of the site plan will take place during the site plan and design review administrative approval process. All project-related semi-truck traffic will be routed to the Fairway Drive interchange via 119th and Corporate Drive to minimize impacts on nearby residential neighborhoods. To support the project's access and transportation needs from I-10 freeway, the developer will contribute an agreed-upon amount toward constructing a new traffic signal at the intersection of Corporate Drive and Fairway Drive. Staff analysis finds that the proposed minor general plan amendment meets all the 4 required findings outlined in the General Plan 2030. The business park designation supports employment-generating uses, which also aligns with the city's economic development goals. Request is result in development that is compatible with the complementary and existing uses in the area. The development will meet the necessary infrastructure requirements as well. Similar to the minor GPA, the staff finds that the proposed pad rezone also meets all the required findings established in the zoning code. And the development is consistent with the land use and economic development goals in the General Plan 2030. Project shall meet Commerce Park standards with requested deviations, and the development shall follow the zoning code, subdivision regulations, design manuals, and all other regulations unless modified. In terms of the mandatory public participation, there was a neighborhood meeting held on September 9th, 2025. There was 1 attendee present aside from the applicant's team and city staff. Discussion topics were about potential tenants, truck circulation, proposed amenity area, and project timeline. To date, staff has received only 1 public comment mentioning that the site is already being advertised for lease and questioned the need for public hearings if the project appears already approved. With that, I'm concluding my presentation, and staff is recommending approval of applications PL-25-0120 and PL-25-0121 for the reasons set forth in the staff report. And Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, I just wanted to mention one more time that the public hearing portion of these 2 items can be opened together, but the motions will be separate. Thank you for being here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions of the staff? Hearing and seeing none, would the applicant like to address the commission? And please state your name for the record.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Stephen Anderson, 40 North Central, 20th floor in Phoenix. I'm a land use attorney at Gammage and Burnham. We are representing Creation in this project, and I'm joined this evening by my client, Jagger Everett. Jagger is going to be late for his own funeral, but he made it. If it makes you all feel any better, he was a little late to the community meeting as well. We've had an opportunity to read the staff report and work with the staff on the 10 stipulations. We appreciate the recommendations for approval on both the minor general plan amendment and the rezoning proposal. The 10 stipulations have been worked through with the staff and the applicant, and we are comfortable with all of them. We'd be happy to answer any questions about any individual stipulations that the Commission has any questions about. As staff noted in their report, we did hold a community meeting. We had only a single citizen in attendance at the meeting. I did give a presentation at that meeting. It's longer than 3 minutes. If you are so inclined, I'm happy to do it again. But I understand it's not necessary given the staff recommendation approval and the general apparent lack of continued interest in the case. I would note 2 things for you in that regard. First, I would attribute the general lack of interest in the site to the fact that the site is isolated. It's in an infill pocket in the city, and it is concealed by the surrounding uses that face the arterial streets. This site does not face any arterial streets. From a traffic perspective, it will be in that regard somewhat invisible to members of the community, and certainly physically it will be concealed by all of the development that is occurring around us. The second thing I wanted to note, just in case any of the commissioners noted it on the staff site plan that was shown in Monica's presentation, you saw an employment amenity area in the southeast corner of the site. I just wanted to note for the commission, that is not the only employee amenity area. We do have employee amenity areas scattered throughout the site, but that one is notable because it includes 2 pickleball courts that will be open to the community at large. And at our community meeting, that was something that the attendee was quite excited to hear about. And with that, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Commissioner McBurney, please.
And I don't know if this is appropriately directed at you or, with the staff. What's the time frame for the traffic signal at Corporate and Fairway?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, I'll take the first shot at that and then let staff chime in because I think your question is appropriately responded to by both of us. The signal at Fairway and Corporate is a little bit unusual. As I think you all are aware, the southeast corner of that intersection is still occupied by a home. And so whether that site chooses to develop or it comes under contract or not is something of a question mark. And that's why the timing of the signal is a little bit unknown. If that property chooses to develop like the one we're developing does, and like other surrounding properties have been developed, then of course in the course of development, the city will tag that property. They'll get the land that they need, and it will be appropriate to develop the signal as part of the development of that property. Given that there's some uncertainty, however, there's a number of question marks, 2 in particular. One will be if the property chooses not to sell, which of course is its right, the city will be confronted with the question of whether to condemn. That's not a decision a private developer can make. Of course, that's a decision for the city council. So they may have to address that question. And that leads to the second aspect of the financial commitment that we've made. The stipulation, you may have noticed, is a little bit oddly worded because it anticipates the possibility that the signal may not actually get built in a reasonable or short time frame. And so if it does not, our financial contribution actually under the language of the stipulation comes back to us. So we write the check early, you hold the funds, and then it's up to you to build the signal at your leisure. And with that, I'll let staff jump in if they wish to.
Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, the applicant, they have appropriately answered the question related to traffic signal. For now, we have a 10 years of timeline for that traffic signal to be built, and there is a land acquisition process involved, as well as it depends when the building is going to be fully occupied. Then only there will be need for the traffic signal triggered per the senior traffic engineer of our city. So for now, we will have to figure it out once we move forward in the development process.
All right, I'm just concerned. I drive Fairway on a daily basis, and that is a very challenging intersection, especially with the USPS facility right there. So thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have questions? I have one, and I'm glad you're still up there because I probably should have asked you this first. The Fairway 10 buildings to the west, do we know the height of them? Are they 35 or 55? Or since they're asking for a variance here, or a difference of 35 to 55 foot height?
Yes, Chair. We compared the height of the proposed building with the adjacent one, the Fairway 10. That is like between 40 to 48 feet. Okay. And the adjacent multi-family buildings, the height range is approximately similar. So the height that is requested is approximately compatible with the surrounding buildings.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions of staff or the developer? Okay, I would like to now open the public hearing for this item. And I have, well, for both of these items, 4A and 4B, I have one request to speak by Stephen Anderson, if you would like to come forward. That was you? Oh, okay. So you have already spoken. Nothing else to add, correct? Okay. Do we have any other requests to speak?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any other requests to speak.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing for both of these items. Are there any other questions from the commission? Hearing none, may I have a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Jewell and a second by Commissioner Pineda. Please vote. The motion has passed unanimously, 6-0. And that, I'm sorry, I should have pointed out, that was for item 4A. We now need a separate motion for item 4B. There we go. We have a motion by Commissioner Guzman and a second by Commissioner Pineda. Please vote. That item also passed by a majority of 6-0. We are now ready to proceed to the staff report on item 4C, please. Thank you. And thank you, sir, for your interest in supporting the development and growth in Avondale.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name is Josh Orton. I'm a lead senior planner here with the City of Avondale's Planning Division. Item 4C is a zoning code text amendment for the Boulevard District. The purpose of this item is to review the proposed zoning code text amendments, conduct a public hearing, and then forward a recommendation to City Council. To give you some background, the Avondale zoning ordinance was first adopted in 1951, with the latest updates being approved by Council in November of 2024. This update seeks to refine the zoning ordinance to align the Boulevard District with the economic development initiatives and trends that have been introduced to the city. It will also add some definitions and uses that support implementation of the Boulevard specific plan. The first proposed amendment is to section 28-15. This is some definitions that are being added to the Boulevard zoning code. The purpose of this change is to allow some more retail, entertainment, and service opportunities to come into the Boulevard. This will also modify some conditions for existing allowed uses. The second amendment is to revise the land use matrix. Again, this will allow for more development to come into the Boulevard and adjust some of the allowed uses for those new definitions that we're going to be adding. Again, this section will be amended to remove the conditional use permit requirement for gas stations. They'll be allowed now only as an accessory use to a grocery store, as well as allowing grocery stores exceeding 36,000 square feet in floor area. We'll also be modifying the requirement for grocery stores to contain certain components, reducing that number from 4 to 2. Additionally, for our entertainment uses, we're going to be adding some standards related to lighting and sound amplification for outdoor concert facilities and outdoor commercial recreation and entertainment uses. So these are the boulevard sub-districts that are going to be affected. That's the Gateway, Park Avenue, Village, and Promenade districts. This largely leaves alone some of the more residential areas on the southeast corner of Van Buren and Avondale, as well as the residential to the northeast. And finally, there's a proposed amendment to revise the minimum distance that on-street parking and off-street surface parking and parking structures must be located from commercial uses. It will be revised from 400 feet to approximately a quarter mile. This mostly affects the parking garage that's located in the boulevard and allows more flexibility for new uses to come in to derive their required parking from those public parking facilities. As part of the public participation, all required notifications were completed and a post was made on Avondale Connect. To date, no comments have been received or questions have been received from the public. And with that, staff is recommending that Planning Commission make a motion to recommend approval of application PL 25-0189, a request for text amendments to the zoning ordinance for the reasons set forth in the staff report. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the commission to the staff?
I have one question.
Commissioner Grimm, please.
The change to the parking, what does that do from a ADA standpoint, having that distance now, and for the undeveloped areas, what does that really mean, being a quarter mile from any parking spots or just from surface parking? Can you explain that a little more?
So, certainly. So, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioner Grimm, the required parking for any commercial use usually exceeds the amount that they can provide at that site. They'll still be required to have ADA parking. It's just that the required parking can be located further away. As far as the specific ADA requirements, I'd have to defer to our building division on that. As far as what the law actually requires, but as far as their total required parking, they can just use some of the parking that's in the surface lots.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add, all the required ADA parking would be still in the appropriate proximity to the use. This is simply giving the ability for a new project to count some of the parking either on street or in the garage towards their project.
And at what point does that, when the garage fills up or hits capacity, as far as how does those counts take place? Is there a limit of how much percentage that can be? Or at what point is that garage being double counted? Or can it be?
So there's no necessarily limit. Are you saying?
Well, if we have 10 different buildings that require 50 spots apiece, but we only have 100 spots, at what point does that parking count not be able to count? If that makes sense.
So, as far as the available parking that's in those off-street or off-site lots, some of it may be double counted as part of a total public parking facility. It kind of speaks to the urban form of the boulevard, how a lot of those users end up going to multiple different locations. So that's part of the overall design. That's kind of the intent, that they would park in one location and then walk to those other spaces and utilize multiple commercial opportunities.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Since the city is the applicant, we do not need to ask for an applicant to comment. So I would like to now open the public hearing for item 4C. And I have not so far received any requests to speak. Are there any new ones?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any requests to speak, but if there is anyone that would like to come up, you may proceed to the podium.
Hearing and seeing none, I will now close the public meeting for this item. Any further questions for the staff before I would now entertain a motion on this item. Commissioner Jewell has made the motion to recommend approval, and we have a second. Please vote. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you all. We are now ready for the staff presentation on item 4D, please.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. I am again presenting the agenda items 4D and 4E, General Plan and Zoning Code Text Amendments for Middle Housing, applications PL-25-0190 and PL-25-0188. The purpose of these items is to review the proposed city-initiated General Plan and Zoning Code text amendments, conduct a public hearing, and forward a recommendation on each item to the City Council. The proposed amendments respond to House Bill 2721, which allows a duplex, triplex, fourplex, or townhome, which we are calling middle housing, as a permitted use on a lot zoned for single-family residential use within 1 mile of the city's central business district, and at least 20% of a new development of more than 10 contiguous acres zoned for single-family residential use. Per the new state law, city is required to adopt middle housing regulations by January 1st, 2026. If the city does not adopt these regulations by the deadline, the middle housing will be allowed on all lots in the city's lots zoned for single-family residential use without any limitations. So to comply with the state law, the city of Avondale's proposal includes 3 steps. First, since the city currently does not have a central business district, city is proposing to designate a CBD for middle housing purposes by resolution, and then amending the general plan to incorporate the CBD designation into the general plan text, and then finally amending the zoning code to adopt middle housing regulations as required by the state law. So in order to understand the first step, city is establishing the definition of central business district first that aligns with the definition of CBD in the state law as well. Then the city's proposal to select 3 districts, the Gateway, Village, and Park Avenue from the Boulevard land use category, and designating them as central business district for middle housing CBD. If approved, council will adopt the central business district for middle housing by resolution. You can see here on this slide the outline of the to be designated CBD boundary. These 3 districts from the Boulevard land use category were selected because they are centrally located within the city. Their land uses align well with the state's definition of CBD as mentioned on the previous slide, and the process to adopt and implement the CBD becomes relatively simpler in comparison to any other location in the city. And here is the map showing the proposed CBD boundary and the corresponding 1 mile radius. The green areas shown on the map are zoned for single-family residential use, and these areas are going to be impacted by this middle housing new article. Now, the second step in the process of adopting middle housing is to amend the General Plan 2030 and to include the CBD in the General Plan text. The new text is highlighted in red. And the final step in the process of adopting middle housing is to amend the zoning code text to include middle housing regulations as required by the state law. The proposed text amendment will establish a new article specifically for middle housing and update the definitions section of the code, including new and updated terms related to middle housing, as well as maintain consistency of those definitions throughout the code. It is also staff's understanding that any private agreement, such as covenant conditions and restrictions by homeowners association governing the use of single-family zoned property, would remain a private matter. As mentioned earlier, the proposed zoning code text amendment includes revisions to the definition section of the code. New definitions are being added, and some of the existing definitions are being updated in support of the new middle housing article and to maintain consistency through the zoning code. The new article for the middle housing includes 4 new sections. The new sections establish purpose of the article, the eligibility criteria, and the design and development standards. These standards will generally align with those for single-family dwellings within the same zoning district, with some exceptions related to parking and floor area ratio. In terms of the public participation, all required notifications have been completed. And to date, no comments were received by the staff regarding middle housing. With that, I'm concluding my presentation, and staff is recommending approval of applications PL-25-0190 and PL-25-0188, general plan and zoning code text amendments for middle housing. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions. The public hearing portion and the motions will be taken in a similar manner like the first items A and B.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any commissioners have any questions of staff? And again, since this is city initiation, and just as she stated, be sure you're aware, she presented both items 4D and E. And I'm going to have one public hearing for both items, and then we will need 2 motions. I would like to now open the public hearing for both items, agenda items 4D and 4E. Do we have any requests to speak?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any requests to speak, but if there is anyone who would like to speak, you may proceed to the podium.
Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing on these 2 items. Any further questions anyone would have? Hearing and seeing none, I would now entertain a motion on the item 4D. We have a motion by Commissioner Guzman and a second by Commissioner Jewell to recommend approval. Please vote. Motion passes by a vote of 6-0 unanimously. And now I would entertain a motion on agenda item 4E. We have a motion to recommend approval by Commissioner Jewell and a second by Commissioner Pineda. Please vote. And that motion also passes unanimously by a vote of 6-0. That concludes the agenda items. We are now ready for commission announcements. Any commissioners have any announcements to make? We are ready for the Planning Division report, agenda item 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I just want to let you know that as of September 30th, we currently have 130 active planning applications. 30 of those came in the month of September. So again, we continue to have a healthy amount of activity going on. A lot of these are reviewed and approved administratively by staff. And then, of course, you see the important public hearing items. And thank you for your service this evening.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, the calendar. The next meeting will be on November 19th, 2025. And I am now ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And we are adjourned.